I know this panel is going to keep you guys away from breaking out for the day. So we'll try keeping the panel as short, interactive, and crisp as possible. We've been given a topic which is fairly interesting, relevant in today's context. So we are hoping that we'll discuss some interesting examples of social empowerment that is going to happen through use of AI and building AI tools which will be accessible to the masses. What we'll do is we'll start with a quick round of introduction, and then subsequently we'll dive deeper into some relevant, pertinent issues that ought to be discussed during this panel. Can we start from the other end of the panel? Jignesh, can we start with you, touch upon the work that you do?
Yeah. So I started my journey about 1996 with a startup in India, and thinking that I will always work for India. Okay. Sorry, I have a little bit of patriotism in me. A lot, actually, okay? And those days, we were doing cutting-edge technologies. And then I founded my own startup, which was then acquired by Farai, which is another startup in a way, in a very well-funded startup. And this is where it was like, I felt that finally I've come to a point where this is my landing, you know? And I've worked only for 3 companies, right, in the entire journey, okay? One was mine, and this is also almost feels like mine, you know. And here is where, you know, we present in almost all 5 continents, and I call America as one continent. And some of our colleagues have also worked when they were on their expedition to Antarctica. So like, you know, in a way, we are present on all continents. And the core of this organization, or what we do, is, incidental that we are on an AI summit, but core is also AI. And that's around, you know, logistics, software, logistics, optimization, and a lot of, you know, things required in how we can best fulfill our, transportation requirements. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Harshal.
Hello. Yeah. Hi. Thank you. So my name is Dr. Harshal Sharma. I'm a labor economist by my academic qualification and also by my profession right now. I have worked with different state governments since a decade. I've worked with Delhi government, Maharashtra government. I've worked with Odisha government. I work usually with labor departments across states. I'm currently representing my organization, Indus Action, which tries to bridge the gap between law and action. We try to increase the access to entitlements to marginalized citizens across the country. There are different welfare schemes already existing. Our job is how and when does the amount land into the bank account of those marginalized citizens. So this is where we come in. We work across India, I would say. We have official MOUs with around 14 different state governments. We work within that state government trying to improve on their current level of technology and how can we integrate different level of data sets and give them some sort of a civic tech solutions to actually increase the pace at which they are currently be able to transfer their welfare schemes to their actual citizens. Yeah.
Shayak.
Hi everyone, I'm Shayak. I'm the founder, CEO, and CTO of Adya AI. I started my career back in 2003 with the Indian Navy. I served for 10 years. I used to be a nuclear biological chemical warfare specialist, later a helicopter operator. I left the Navy back in 2012. I went to Goa. I ran some hotels and restaurants. That was a lot of fun. And then ended up doing my MBA from INSEAD. Post INSEAD, I joined a large multinational company and built a $1 billion business for them. Then I went to Singapore, started a startup, took it to US in the middle of COVID and exited. Came back to India in 2023, started my latest company called Adya. At Adya, we were initially building on the ONDC stack, the Open Network for Digital Commerce. And we built out the country's first open stack on ONDC. People could come and build any application they wanted. Then in 2024, we built out a LLM, which actually beat OpenAI in the benchmarks. NVIDIA got very excited about it. We sat in the NVIDIA office for a month, learned everything from them. beginning 2025, we started building a platform. Because I feel fundamentally, India does a lot of applications, but we don't do enough platforms. So cut to today, we've built one of the most advanced agentic AI platforms in the world. We're about world number 4 right now in benchmarks. And in the last 3 months, about 12,000 agentic systems and about 100 different LLMs and SLMs have been built on this platform by about 10,000 different builders in India. We've done some very interesting things, from drug discovery AI to Indian genetic modeling to running drones for the Indian Navy using AI to public grids using AI, financial systems using AI, etc. So yeah, I have a lot of fun building stuff with AI.
Thanks, Shayak. Tarun?
Hi, I'm Tarun Adlakha. I'm a serial entrepreneur and investor in early stage startups, sector agnostic. I run Ashwath Ventures. The focus has always been impact, and as with AI, it's an area we are very actively looking at in startups that create impact using AI. I'm also involved in areas of cultural heritage and use of technology, use of AI, AR, VR, and AI in disseminating India's cultural heritage, democratizing it, which is something that's really not been done so far, because we're one of the oldest civilizations in the world. We fill the museums around the world, but our museums are in a dismal state, and citizens have no idea in India like what our history stands for and where they can go and access. So those are areas. Healthcare delivery and cultural heritage is something that we are very focused on currently in Ashwath Ventures and on a personal level also. And that's my journey. I've always been an entrepreneur and always been an investor.
Hi, thanks, Tarun. Hi, everyone. My name is Kunal Upadhyay. I've been affiliated with the Entrepreneurship Center at IIM Ahmedabad for the last 20 odd years, including setting up a couple of venture funds, a deep tech focused fund called Bharat Innovation Fund. We are backers of many of the deep tech companies, including in space tech, including in areas like biotech, health tech coming out of India. India today stands at a very interesting juncture. Our generation specifically, over the last maybe 25 odd years, we've seen massive evolution of technology. We've seen how, and it's taken a long time. I mean, if we look, for example, at the IT, the information technology, for information technology to be democratized, which is masses to actually access it, it's taken give or take 20 odd years. If we look at telecom, I mean, I'm sure this is the generation who had the rotary phones back there in their houses long back, 25 odd years back. But for the masses to get access to mobile, it practically happened maybe 8 or 10 years back. It was again a 20, 25-year odd journey that took for democratization of telecom to happen. And I want to touch upon a very interesting anecdote that I myself seen with our house help. Now, this is a person, mid-20s, illiterate. And when we say illiterate, she doesn't know ABC, she doesn't know E. And she was digitally illiterate as well, because you didn't have much that you could do with her phone. I mean, apart from YouTubing. Around 6 odd months back, my 10-year-old daughter actually taught my help how to use the voice mode in ChatGPT. And it has been revolutionary. I mean, she can do anything or everything, I mean, including stuff like, I mean, we have a cat at home. Our cat was having a struggle. I mean, she was having a skin infection. And our maid, who can't speak a word of English, who doesn't understand how to read, she's been able to use the voice mode in ChatGPT to actually diagnose what the issue with our cat is. That's the power of technology, and this is what we are seeing with AI. Telecom, IT took 20, 25 years for it to get democratized and land as a phone in someone's hand. But now that the phone is already sitting in people's hand, the railroads have been built, the solutions can be taken out to the masses. The unfortunate part here is that very often when technology is being created, technology gets created for the classes. it eventually trickles down, has an impact on the masses. But this conversation today is about how can we actually focus more on building solutions for the masses. Even if we are not building solutions for the masses, how do we keep the masses in mind when the solutions are being created? This could at times mean people with lower income. At times it could mean people who are not English natives, people who are using specific dialects of a local vernacular language. But when we have to create solutions for the masses, this is the time when the solutions are being designed, that they are appropriately being designed for the world at large. The topic today of social empowerment via accessibility can be sliced and diced in multiple different ways. I mean, we've got Tarun here who looks at it from an investor standpoint. He's looking at different segments, sub-segments where technology at large, but AI specifically could also have an impact. Tarun, if you don't mind, can you touch upon some of the key areas that you feel AI can have an impact for the masses?
So, well, I'll start by quoting something that was written 200 years ago, but is very relevant, and what you just hit the nail, that, the railroads. So man is as God was, and man is as God was, and as God is, man may be. This is, talking about evolution and how knowledge has empowered. And this really hits the nail on empowerment. And if we look at, democratization, as Kunal said, we have 800 million plus smartphone users in this country. So technology is, and especially AI, is no longer very elite. I've seen people in very back and beyond villages using ChatGPT, and for solutions, for coming up with ideas, thoughts, and that for me is the most critical. So we often talk about the job losses that are looming, that are coming, with AI, which is true to some extent. But when we look at rural India, which has always had a major service delivery issues, there's hardly, that's probably the sweet spot there, because one, there's no real risk of job losses, because most job losses are going to be white collar and low-level customer front-facing jobs. That's not something the rural economies are built on. So mostly the rural India is looking at advantages that are coming from AI. For example, healthcare. We have a very, I'd say, shaky healthcare system with very poor availability of doctors. Most of our doctors, we have a lot of doctors in India, but most of them are concentrated in the cities. Nobody wants to work in the villages. And amongst that also, there's a very huge shortage of radiology professionals. So even when there are certain doctors, if there's a crisis in a village or in a far-off place in India, and somebody is taken to the hospital, it takes a very long time to diagnose the problem, especially when there's any kind of radio diagnosis involved. Something similar is being done in China now in a very advanced manner and under the China Healthcare 2030 vision, where they have started using 3 AI models for radio diagnosis, and it's been delivering much better results than actual radiologists on ground. They're able to, there's certain very small tumors, very small lesions that the human eye still can't figure out, but by using AI models, they've been able to actually diagnose cancers and tumors much earlier than when there was an actual doctor present. Now, there are ethical, legal issues involved in using healthcare, but working around those, I think it's a huge opportunity for last mile delivery of healthcare services. And that for me is a huge step in empowerment. Once we are able to once we are able to use these models and give the basic healthcare access, it improves the quality of life in the villages. And I think that's an area where we are hugely interested in, and that's an area where we can derive immense impact with very little investments. The other area, again, as I talked about, cultural heritage. So we are working, we've created an entity called Consortia Cultural. The idea of that is to, again, disseminate cultural heritage. And this is something I was in the Thai Global Summit last month in Jaipur, And somebody talked about that AI, that when we talk about AI, we also forget something called another AI, which is ancient intelligence. So using AI, and I've had some very interesting conversations with AI models, I actually was able to very quickly decipher some 2,000-year-old scrolls written in Prakrit, which is a language that's no longer, yeah, there are very few people actually who can make sense of Prakrit. And when I uploaded those images, I was able to decipher those 2,000-year-old scrolls in 5 minutes. And the results were actually 90% accurate. So there's a lot of relearning that can be done using AI models to look at old scriptures and actually almost rewrite or the history of human evolution. So these two areas are of special interest to me. There's of course a lot of other areas like last mile service delivery, information delivery, agricultural science, where AI can make a huge impact. But I know there's so many all our panelists here have been doing work, so I'll not steal their thunder. But these two areas that really appeal to me and I'm really excited about.
Thank you so much, Tarun. You gave a good 30,000 feet view on what is possible. We've got 3 operators here, and I'm going to request all of you to both touch upon what do you guys already do in areas related to AI, which specifically can have a social empowerment or AI accessibility angle. But more importantly, we are just getting started as the AI revolution in the world. I want you guys to crystal ball gaze, think of the future on how your work 5 years down the line ought to be so that it enables the masses. What kind of applications do you think you could be developing? What kind of solutions could you be developing? How do you bring more empowerment getting created because of the work that we do? And please do touch upon what you may already be doing. If it's okay, Jignesh, I want to start with you. FAR-I, as we all know, has a significant engagement with the bottom of the pyramid folks or low-income folks, guys who are the last mile delivery guys. How is AI impacting their lives and what more is possible?
Right. So, it all started off long back, about 10 years back, when we started delivering or people started using phones to deliver your, whatever you order from online. Today, you get it in 10 minutes. There was a time when it was 7 days, okay? Now, the fact that you get it in 10 minutes has itself a lot of, nuances. It's not like, straightforward that there is an inventory and you order and you're going to get it from there, okay? Lot of thought process goes into it, what inventory has to be there. So the entire workforce that is there, right? Be it any driver or anybody who's coming to your house, we probably provide in such a way that they don't have to think too much. They don't have to worry about where to go, what to do, what next to do. The AI that we have created and we have ensured that where he goes, right, has already factored into the entire thing that he can do maximum and therefore he can earn maximum. So the idea is, at the end of it, see, whatever we say, empowerment, we use these fancy words, right? But at the end of the day, let's look at it, it's cash flow. If the guy can't earn money, how much ever empowerment you do is, not going to go anywhere. The whole idea of FAR-I was that, how much more can he deliver within 1 hour that he has? He just has 1 hour to deliver. That's it. Can he deliver more and therefore can he earn more? And mind you, that doesn't mean that he has to scamper through and go fast or anything like that. With his normal speed, which he doesn't have to calculate anymore, and enable him to deliver the best, right? That's one aspect, okay? Look at the guys who are at the warehouse, right? So earlier what happens is, let's say I am a person who's sitting in a warehouse deciding that, I have to deliver these many things, right? I have to take a pen and paper or Excel sheet. I will work it out. I will use a lot of things. It takes about almost 3 to 4 hours for that guy to just figure out daily routine in the morning, early morning. Now, 3 minutes. Or, I mean, 3 minutes is also more, okay? It's already ready by the time he comes. He just has to print and give it out, right? So these are the things where it enables him to have more time to do more things, right? Idea is, can he utilize himself and do the whole thing, you know? So that's what probably at FARI what we do. Other than that, what I want to add is, this is one aspect wherein execution through AI, okay? Second is knowledge through AI. I mean, he touched upon a Prakrit language, right? But knowledge, so my point would be that, you know, knowledge is no longer an elite only, okay? It is now available to anybody who seeks. That is what AI probably has enabled, I think.
You know, Jignesh touched upon a very important element. Again, I mean, going back 25, 30 odd years when computers were beginning to happen in the Indian context, very often we used to say that once computers come in, humans will lose jobs. And as it turns out, humans reskilled themselves, and India really took benefit of the computer revolution, the IT revolution. I mean, produced a phenomenal IT workforce over the years. The example that Jignesh is giving is the use of AI to actually increase productivity of people, use of AI to actually increase the cash flow for people. I mean, which is a fantastic use case of AI, where it is not actually taking jobs away, it is making people more productive. So very interesting. So AI is not here to necessarily take jobs, but enable people at large. I want to come to you, Harshil. Harshil and I know you do a lot of work across different states. And one of the big advantage of AI is its ability to cut across different languages, dialects. How is it already beginning to help some of the work that you do to take solutions to the masses at large across different states?
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, right now we are working across many states, and we are seeing the change happen in front of us. Like since COVID to now, we're seeing it working within how the structures, even inside the state and delivery to the citizen, how that's changing. I'll maybe just take one setting of the problem of what problem we are trying to resolve across these state or central dynamics. So like coming just with a few facts, like last year we've seen like our social sector spending for India, center plus states, is around 25 plus lakh crores. That's how much money is to be used for welfare of the masses. We have a workforce of around 630 million odd individuals. Like that's what the latest PLFS survey tells. We have a workforce registered over the eShram portal. That is, we have the data of around 310 million workers. Maybe like 90% of our workforce is informal in nature broadly. So we have a lot of data available for these workers. And accessibility still remains a challenge for how many are registered under these social schemes. Many of these budget gets lapsed, many amount allotted to be shared among the masses, they are not being used. There are validation challenges, registration challenges, and what we have tried to see, there are around 10 different pain points in the life of a citizen that come in where he is not able to access the welfare schemes that he or she is entitled to. We have broadly tried to make segue and divide those 10 pain points into 3 challenges. One is around discovery, second is around documentation, and third is around delivery. So what I'll do is maybe just set up what we are doing across these 3 right now. And the last thing I'll maybe end with is what we intend to see or what's our objective maybe 5 years down the line. So maybe around discovery, what we do are, we want states to focus, rather than citizens trying to find out the schemes, we are working with states or state finding out those citizens. We have different data sets, what I mentioned about. We have some census going on, we have many sample surveys, we have eShram database with us, we have like construction workers, BOCW registered workers, we have around 5 or 50 million data available there. So using all these different data sets together, finding a common layer and data lakes, trying to find out a predictive layer which can actually help in reaching the last mile delivery citizen ourselves. If a worker has applied for X scheme and he is eligible for a Y scheme, we try to give them nudge for those schemes as well. So there are different central and state schemes. How can we give the nudges to the individuals? And we just don't do the matching through our eligibility engine here. We've done this integration in a few states. Chhattisgarh is one of the prime examples. What we do here is not just give maybe one-to-one match, which is the binary in nature. We try to see, okay, if there are 10 eligibilities required for one other scheme access, if 8 are matching, we try to give the nudge to the citizen, okay, if you enter these 2 more documents, you will be eligible for this XYZ more scheme. So that's why we are trying to make a plug and play sort of a situation where citizen feels a trust towards the system and feels, okay, one more document, then I'm done with this process. So that is kind of thing we're doing in the discovery end. For the documentation end, we are trying to reduce the proof of burden on the citizen. We are trying to reduce the rejection friction on the state side, broadly reduce administrative burden both from the citizen end and also from the government's end, and trying to use some auto fetching and auto validation across different state departments. Usually, like, state departments work in a lot of silos. If there is a scheme for a laborer, if she meets some unfortunate accident or dies, there's no connection with maybe the death database of the state, or maybe if there's a maternity scheme, there's no connection with the birth database. So we try to do these interdepartmental linkages where even if the citizen doesn't know this kind of a welfare scheme exists, if there's a birth registry linkage we can find, we try to nudge the citizen, okay, you can gain access to these XYZ schemes. So those are kind of integration or predictive analysis we are trying to see where we can nudge the citizens to actually apply for schemes and develop a trust with the state that, okay, if I do, how can my visits to the states be reduced? How can I actually gain access to different welfare schemes which are rightly belonging to him? And here we are also focusing on some of the agentic AI for the governance protocols inside the state system as well. What are the reasons for rejection? Why are things being rejected? What are the different layers of processes which are going on? And the last thing we're working is towards delivery. N number of transactions, even when the amount is sanctioned to the citizen, the transactions fail at the bank end. What data tells us, around 10% of transactions are every time failing. Even like now with Aadhaar seeding coming into place, that rejection percentage has risen. We are trying to develop a product there itself, trying to find out predictively, even before the amount is sanctioned to the citizen, how can we actually resolve it even before the amount is transferred to the citizen. We can diagnose the problem even before the money hits the bank account. So at these 3 levels, we are working with different states at different opportunities. And now, just the last part, what we intend to do is, we feel our social security system is very fragmented. There are N number of schemes, what I said, 26 lakh plus crores. I think most of the governments across the world are right now moving towards maybe broadly 5 to 8 broad welfare schemes. And those can be some moments that matter for the individuals of that state. It can be around maybe employment, it can be jobs, it can be around maybe maternity, marriage, death, birth, education, health, or maybe like whatever the state can define on. Can we try to converge those policies together and build a unified entitlement interface? So that's the broad end we want to move towards, where we already have databases of those individuals. We do auto fetching, auto validation, and who is the last month citizen, trying to punch in, we know, okay, new scheme is to be designed. These many individuals we know are marginalized, and we design the scheme according to the budget and try to start wherever the intervention is actually needed the most. So yeah, that's the broad kind of work we are right now doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic vision to have for sure, because as the world talks about what is the universal basic income, as the world is moving towards a universal basic income, to be able to define what the basic income should mean is also a function of what a person's needs, requirements, situation is, and what you are thinking as a UEI. I mean, this is the first time I'm hearing the United Entitlement Interface, which is a fantastic vision to have, could be a great enabler, not just in the Indian context, but also in the global context. Because to be able to figure out what an individual ought to be entitled for is possibly the future billion-dollar opportunity. Shayak, I want to go into your mind. When you are building solutions, how are you building solutions keeping inclusion at large in mind? Because very often as entrepreneurs, we typically will start building solutions for people who can pay, or if you're working with customers, they may be building solutions for people who can pay. But is there something that entrepreneurs in today's world are increasingly doing so that the scale up can be faster if you build solutions which already are accounting for data for lower middle income or across different languages, etc.? Would love to understand some of the thoughts that may be going into your product development.
Okay, that's a very deep question. So what I'll try to do is I'll address it at 3 levels. First of all, when we are building these platforms, AI building AI, you build it in such a way that everybody sitting in this room should be able to build everything they want to build. Developers were basically interpreters. We could not talk to machines, so we had some people who knew how to talk to machines. We paid them, they spoke to machines and got us what we wanted. Now that we've taught machines to speak to us, those machines should be able to go, figure out where the data is, integrate which tool it needs to integrate. So when we look at a problem statement, think of what, all of you just for a second close your eyes and think what you do. Your work can be broken down into 3 parts. There is a process which you follow. There is some things which you know, and there are some tools which you use, correct? Now the process which you follow is an algorithm, it's a skill. The things which you know is data which can be taught to a model. And the tools which you use is something which I can teach a agent to use. The moment I've achieved this, I have achieved agentic independence. I can now tell that agent, go build this for me. January 2026, that switch has been flipped. Agents are now able to create agents. We have that ability. Claude has that ability. We are now, sometimes I wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning and I tell the system, build this. And by the time I come back at 7 a.m., the system is built for me. The Indian Navy came to me and said, we want to find out how many Chinese boats have entered Indian waters in the last 20 years. Normally, this would be a 6-month project. It got done in about 16 minutes because it connected to all the newspapers, it connected to all the databases by itself, created it, and created the data interface on top. So this is level 1. Building platforms that are able to create systems from natural language with a voice, text, image, whatever interface we want. तो हम बताएंगे कि मुझे ये चाहिए वो बना के दे देगा. That's it. Should not be more complicated than that. Next. Today, one of the critical limitations of AI is the cost to climate, the cost to pocket, the race to sovereignty. All of these things are important. So, bari jargon na karke, it's a very simple thing to build models today in 2026. हम ऐसे model बना सकते, we can build these small language models which don't need GPUs, which don't need an API, which don't even need the internet. They will run that application sitting on your mobile. So go and create a small language model for yourself, for your business. Create a mobile app. Put that small language model inside that mobile app and let all your users use it. एक पैसे का खर्चा नहीं होगा. How much time do you think this takes? 1 hour. That's it. You can build SLMs and you can build mobile apps and put those two together in about an hour. So that's the second level thinking. The actual intelligence, where is it coming from? Because in first level, we connected process, data, and systems. In second level, we connected intelligence. Now let's talk about a few domains and how you think about solving for it. The Indian Council of Medical Research has been doing this very interesting study. Our genes, have never been studied. Indian genes never been studied. Can you imagine? the oldest civilization on earth. But our genes have never been studied. Why? Ajkal, all the drugs which are built, they are targeted drugs. So you could be the richest man on earth. You could be Mr. Satya Nadella or Mr. Mukesh Ambani, but the drugs won't work for you because the drugs were not built for Indian genes. So somebody has to build bio-foundational models that will work for Indian genes. Take an example of, there's this very interesting business in Hyderabad, KNH. वो लोग क्या करते हैं? All these medicines which come, no, we have all this misinformation around them, that this medicine has this symptom, this problem, etc. But the problem is it has never been tested for Indians. All those symptoms, side effects, are for Caucasians. So KNH, two doctors, Dr. Hema from Harvard and Dr. Kalyan from Stanford, they've been collecting this data for 10 years now. Every medicine that is sold in India, what is the protocol around it, and when Indians take it, based on their genetic configuration, what symptoms do they have? Imagine the impact of that at the grassroots level. The generic medicine can be distributed. So what we did was we created drug discovery pipelines using this kind of data. Now, potentially in a year or two from now, you will be able to use these drug discovery pipelines to create generic medicine for Indians at peanuts cost compared to today's cost and distribute it to the masses. Same way, diabetes treatment, cancer treatment, education, we are building systems that are allowing it to distribute to the last mile. Aaj agar if there is a village in Roorkee that needs, it's a real story by the way, if there's a village in Roorkee that actually wants to give education to the last mile students, it should be able to. The human ability to learn and grow is so infinite. I'm not going to narrate the story here, but please everybody Google what is called the hole in the wall experiment by Professor Sugata Mitra. It is an incredible experiment, and just read it. Last bit, and I'll end. I think I'm personally very invested in ensuring that India does not fall behind when it comes to AI. So I'm going city to city, taking sessions for engineers, for them to learn how to become AI architects. 20 तारीख को 20th I'm going to Chandigarh. There'll be 10,000 students. I will give my platform away to them for free. I've tied up with Google to give them credits for free. And I've tied up with IDFC First to sponsor the event. 10,000 students आएंगे Chandigarh University से. They will learn on that day practically. I'll spend the whole day there. They will learn how to build systems there. You know what is the outcome? एक छोटा सा story बताता हूँ. There's this girl who came to me and she said, "Sir, I live so far away from my father. My father is uneducated and he is a patient. तो उनको ना अच्छा खाना देना है मुझे, but I don't know how to take care of him. तो आपका system आने के बाद मैंने क्या किया? I created an AI agent जिससे ना सर वो WhatsApp पे बोलते मुझे भूख लगी, मुझे ये खाना खाना है. It understands that, goes and places an order on Swiggy और उनको खाना पहुंच जाता है. Funny, no? Imagine the impact. Dad gets food on time. No insulin problem. The impact is phenomenal. AI is the greatest debilitator and the greatest enabler that we've ever seen. The smartest person in this room is our phone.
Thank you so much, Shayak. You brought out a very, very interesting element, which is while we were talking about democratization of technology, taking solutions for the masses, we're talking about the masses becoming the creators. All of a sudden, there is an ability, and I mean, we've seen it in the recent past with internet being or internet reaching the masses, where we've seen phenomenal content creators that have come out of the bottom of the pyramid as well. I mean, who are extremely popular across YouTube and other social media. All of a sudden, there is an opportunity for the masses to actually very quickly create applications that can touch 1 billion people with ease. And it's a power that has been given to each one of us. So democratization of a very different order, not just as a consumer of technology, but also creator of technology. In the past, you needed to know how to code. You needed to understand different aspects of how to structure a database and whatnot. all of a sudden all those requirements go away, and even a completely illiterate with a great imagination can actually have the ability to create solutions at scale, which is a very interesting element of AI democratization as well. I want to come to you, and again, I know, Tarun, you've done some work in remote parts of India, including in Northeast, where you've seen aspiring entrepreneurs building solution. I don't know if you've seen it, but I want you to imagine the future. What does entrepreneurship in the AI world look like? What would it look like 5 years hence?
So I'll start with 5 years ago. And when the first time I was invited by IIM Calcutta for a startup accelerator program in Northeast India. And I went there assuming a lot of things, you know, this big city mindset. And I was shocked, you know, there were the usual, yes, the agro startups and those kind of things that you'd expect out of Northeast. But I was shocked at the quality of tech startups that were coming out of Northeast even at that time. But yes, there was the aspiration was there, and there was that occasional bright spark. But what, as Shaikh has said, and you also underlined that thing, that the power was still not there. What has happened in the last 2 years is that this power to create that has come into the hands of entrepreneurs, and with a basic understanding of very minute understanding of technology, but more than that, it's an understanding of what your need is. When you have a specific need to be able to create an agent, to be able to create tech, to be able to code without knowing coding, that I think is going to bridge the gap, and that's going to unleash the next level of entrepreneurship. And all these years when they did not have access to a lot of channels, they did not have access to a lot of tools, now these tools are being provided. So there's a lot of catch-up that's going to be happening. And I think we will see a huge, we're already seeing that. We're already seeing social media, content creation, Instagram. We're also D2C. You know, people sitting in small rural back and beyond India are actually building very scalable businesses and successful businesses that was unimaginable earlier. Now it's the 2.0, you know, of that is going to be where they're going to create new tools to take it to the next level. And I think that's going to blur the differentiation between, you know, the tech hubs of Bangalore and Pune and Hyderabad, and really going to take it to the grassroots. So I think there's going to be a that power, that you know, that power to create, I think, and it's the sky is the limit. I mean, it's only limited by imagination, and I think the imagination was never really lacking in rural India. So I think it's going to be a huge watershed moment for India.
Thank you so much, Tarun. I'll pause here, just checking if there are any questions in the audience.
Can I add something to what Tarun said?
Yes.
It's spot on. I think when we start a business, there are basically 3 challenges. We need a problem to solve, we need money to build, and then we need a team and execution, right? I think with AI, it's becoming interesting because we are getting these super agents emerge. We've seen a very early primitive version of it with Claudebot. And these super agents are capable of turning every individual into a super business, which means that I can just simply execute and tell the AI to scale, rather than needing team members with specific skills, and rather than needing funding to build, etc. So with that layer gone, it's interesting to see where this will evolve and where this will percolate. There will still be distribution advantages with bigger businesses. But beyond that, some of the, like the internet was a great enabler, telecom to begin with, internet then. Now I'm getting the sense that AI is going to unlock a new level of energy and transformation.
A very good point, Shayak. It's something that I am hoping within the next year or 2 years, we'll see the masses coming up and being great adopters and creators using AI. I want to go back to Harshil. Out of all of us, and maybe I'll come back to Jignesh, you as well. Out of all of us, maybe you guys are the ones, the 2 of you, who have the greatest touch point with the masses at large? I mean, you working with the driver community, you working with the masses at large. What is the level of AI penetration that you may have seen anecdotally?
Yeah, yeah. So, rather than just telling where we are right now, I'll maybe begin by maybe one of a few field visits I did around 2015, around 10 odd years back. Some villages across MP, where individuals were like not coding per se, but they were like a set of around 100 individuals sitting and actually working on some sort of an Excel data worksheet where they didn't, as you said, they didn't have any, like your domestic work. They didn't know how to read or write. They didn't know the digital literacy, but they were doing some sort of work which was going to be used somewhere else. So with that, like starting with that, I can tell you right now the AI, like seeping of AI within our tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities is going at a pace which is unprecedented. It's very, very difficult to predict the technological changes that are happening right now. I usually, when I give sessions across some training programs, I tell my like fellow individuals, "Okay, would we have imagined 5 years ago all the street vendors having some sort of a QR code where 12 rupees, 13 rupees would be transferred back into their bank account? I really don't think, we would have been called a madman that time if you would have said, okay, this is happening. So that is where we are, not just in urban areas, but in the many rural village areas as well. I would just want to like bring in one sort of a counterintuitive point where what we call AI or technological change. It's other than all the things at the pace they are moving, there are many parts which are very slow. There's going to be a lot of resistance across the board for these kind of integrations where state feels, okay, we have all the data, now we can just pump in money and things will go well. Without any human intervention. I really feel it will take 1 or 2 years for that, at least for the least. There will be a temporary phygital system, which we are right now working, I cannot tell the name of the states, but sort of a system where there is digital kiosks being made outside many of these local CSC centers, where there are chatbots available, created by states, and the person can, as you were saying, can start with a voice note and say, okay, marriage certificate. They get everything. Whatever they want to click, they again keep on bring the voice and say, I'm not getting anything. मुझे कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा. It will take the regional language batch. Okay, let's start again. So they're making use of AI for the most local person. So this kind of state innovations are already happening at places which are, I would say, unimaginable for us to even see, okay, like places where 5 years ago there was no electricity. We're having these sort of screens installed at the Me Seva or the CSC centers at these places. So this is a kind of technological changes which are happening. There is, as I said, a counterintuitive to it. It cannot, like the denominator is very large. Really don't know how we'll be able to impact all. But yeah, starting is a really positive note. And for me, it's sometimes pretty scary when I see, oh my God, where we are on ground is very different from where we are in the boardrooms. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so one of the customers of ours, okay, there were many drivers delivering and doing his business. And prior to we getting into their business, what they were doing were they were having these load created and giving it to each driver. Now, these drivers were very smart, okay? So what they used to do was, they used to figure out how to deliver it best, okay? So use any chat GPT or any of those things. They'll just upload all their addresses, and that thing will come up and say that, hey, in this sequence you need to deliver. And that their business was going on, and every driver was doing that kind of stuff. But of course, it was not scalable, so that's where we came into the picture. Now what happens was, some of these guys, right, who were very smart, okay, started actually putting pressure on Farai and us, okay, in terms of, how best we can do our stuff. And they were challenging us as well that, no, I think this is better because I have seen it and this is how, AI tells me. And many times they used to be good as well. And the guys who are really focusing, okay, some of them have been absorbed by the companies as well as product managers and all, and saying that, hey, you design our, actual ground level how we should be doing the entire business, right? So I think as they go, and language is not a barrier, right, anymore, nor even my broken English is not important, right? So no longer those days where I have to be very precise, I have to be very good at a particular language, I have to do the right prompting also is not really such a key now. So idea is it's really bridging the gap between, I would say everybody is a genius now with this whole thing, right? Everybody can do everything. Yeah.
That reminds me of my mom, Jignesh. In her mid-70s, she's all of a sudden become a Jyotishi and a homeopathic doctor and an Ayurvedic doctor all in one. And thanks all to ChatGPT. I mean, she asks all possible questions. I mean, last time she was there with us, she'd become a numerologist as well. So she was trying to implement. So the point that you're making is spot on, that the future is now going to be about you not necessarily learning all these skills, but knowing how to be able to use the appropriate tools at the right point in time, which is a very interesting accessibility and empowerment angle that I want to touch upon with this group, and maybe this is the last set of conversations that we will do, which is what should the kids today, and this is not just about kids who are in the cities, people who go to the international schools or the top schools, what should the kids sitting in rural India be learning today, or kids sitting or learning in vernacular language be learning today, so that the digital divide or the AI divide 5 years out is going to be much narrower than what it has been in the tech world over the last 30 odd years, 40 odd years. So I want to touch upon that. I know Jignesh wants to make a point before we do that.
Yeah, no. I want to actually start with that itself. I wanted to start on that whole topic. So imagine now what our actually curriculum was up to, matriculation and then probably do the, higher studies and everything, was a very structured and very precise, and it was more tool focused, okay? The new children or new team that is going to come, right, needs to focus on idea generation, okay? They need to be taught, explore your mind, nothing is impossible, okay? And schools should be more of teaching them what is ethical, what is, how to live in a harmonious way, how to be, or rather, how do we work with the society, and, how can we be a good citizen in society. Schools need to teach that, and children needs to be taught only to explore, whatever that comes to mind, okay? If they want to fly, they can fly. Nobody's going to stop them. And I think up till now, we were stifled that we have to earn money, and therefore, you have to do this. Ya to medical karo, ya fir, engineering, or, whatever. All those kind of avenues are no longer there. Whatever you can, whenever, at whatever stage you may be in, you will be able to do, explore your vision fully. And that's the promise I think AI holds for all of us.
Harshal, how would you go about teaching the kids of the masses?
Yeah, I feel I won't enter into that answering that very being very correct on that. I'll maybe tell how what I am doing right now individually in my own organization or myself, the learning, how quickly the AI world is changing, how prompt engineering is important. Everyone needs to start learning that. If you are not trying to update your knowledge set, you may fall behind. This has been the saying survival of the fittest, so that is something I tell everyone. Second, around hiring, like what I'm right now looking for in kids, if I'm hiring someone maybe at a graduate level right now, if anyone is not using AI to make some sort of a pre-read or a pre-notion work that we give him, I see it as a crime. I always want someone who spends some time and let AI do the basic level of strand work, and you build on that knowledge creation where the human mind comes into play. The innovation parts which maybe your prompt was not able to give to the AI. So right now, what are the avenues that the marginalized section individual kids shall look forward to? I would not like, I'll still wait for that to see, okay, where do they need to invest right now? I still feel where they're investing in education, I'll want that to happen. I'll want state maybe to think around where shall that investment in education or curriculum shall be brought about. Because institutional level issues with education will remain. I would not like jump the gun and ask the marginalized students to maybe change the course of way that they're doing right now.
Shayak, I want to touch upon, you've had the privilege of being to some of the best institutions across the country and the world, including places like INSEAD, Symbiosis, others. How is that going to change? Is higher education going to become less relevant in times to come? And again, I'm asking this question from a have-not standpoint. I mean, currently the divide keeps growing because, I mean, very often, even if they are able to get to a grade 12, their ability to go through a proper education, the best-in-class MBA or best-in-class higher education is still elusive. Will it stop mattering in times to come, or do you still see relevance of the B schools that we all went to?
Is it okay if I combine the answer?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So I've been thinking very deeply about it because I've been thinking about building educational systems, etc. I come from a family of two principals. My mom, government girls' high school, my dad, government boys' high school in villages in Bengal. So the way I think about it is the following. First, the way we measure people is about to change. We measure people based on IQ, right? What is IQ? It is a very limited understanding based on a rote learning method that we've treated so far as a benchmark, the test results, the IQ that we use. But actually, people have all kinds of intelligence and all kinds of ways to learn and grow. And the internet gave us wings, right? When I was growing up, doctor or engineer, right? Sure. Or maybe armed forces. I did the armed forces. Okay, good job. But the problem is, the next generation did not care for it. They actually said there are n number of options. Today it is n to the power n number of options because it just opens up my ability to explore what I'm good at and then make it that much more productive for me. And actually speaking, think about it. Most of the times digital creators earn more money than people who are going to do white collar jobs. Okay. Now, so that also brings me to the question which you asked me. I think the importance of branding is not going to go away. So larger institutions that have earned the right to brand continue to create nexus, continue to create alliances, communities that will hold importance. So a lot of people go to these MBAs or to these branded institutions for three reasons, right? I get to learn, I get to network, and I get to catapult in my career. Okay? Now, I get to catapult in my career goes away. I can still do that without that. But my network and my branding doesn't go away. That is still very important. So I don't think the value of INSEAD per se will reduce. How the value is attributed, that MBA will go away and something else will emerge. This, I think, a very interesting thing to understand is how we think of what should people actually learn. My personal belief, first principles. What does that mean? Have you worked with people or have you sat in front of a computer? Do you understand what people actually want? Have you gone out there and worked with the masses? I think it's very important for people. The other day, I was doing this session in Roorkee, and I got this child who was class 9th funding. That kid he was sitting there and I was asking who's built what. I had no idea कि क्लास 9th का बच्चा मुझे सिखा देगा कि उसने ना एक एजेंटिक सिस्टम बनाया है. मैंने बोला स्टेज पे आओ बेटा. And he came, he explained to me उसने क्या बनाया, कैसे बनाया. I loved it. I said, I'll introduce you to some investors who are looking to invest. And the other day I heard उसने 2 crore investment raise किया. खुद तो नहीं कर सकता, dad के नाम पे raise किया. So the point is, have you gone out there, worked with people? Have you understood maths? Have you understood arts? Have you understood the world? It's very, very important to understand the first principles of what builds. क्योंकि अगर AI कर लेगा काम, तो क्या कराना है, that is very important. And उसका importance, उसका understanding कहीं से नहीं आता जब तक हम करेंगे नहीं. बहुत important है जाके करना और to basically make mistakes fail. तो ये बहुत important हो जाता है. I think the future education systems are going to be pathshalas. You know how pathshalas used to be? हम बाहर बैठते थे पेड़ के नीचे and we used to learn how to do things with our hands. This factory education of schooling systems that is today is not Indian. Our pathshala education systems were very important because we used to learn on the ground how to do things. I think that's a very, very useful thing to remind ourselves that first principles thinking is critical.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Tarun, we are going to end with you, unless others have something else to contribute.
I mean, everybody has covered most of it, but what I want to say, if we cannot talk about the future of education without having a differentiation between knowledge and wisdom. So AI or the future of technology does represent knowledge, which is accessible on tap, on demand, but wisdom is not. And that is something where human intervention will always be needed. So no matter how accessible knowledge is, the education, what it provides, we all study calculus, we all study things, you know, the laws of motion and everything, which we think we are never really going to use this in our life. But what it gives us is, it gives us an ability to think, an ability to understand and ask the right questions. And that will always remain a critical skill. And if we need to continue to be dominating technology and not be ruled by technology, we need to have the wisdom that overrides technology and to make technology work for us. It's like a great power. It's like a great weapon. We need to know how to wield that power. So, you know, you can, for example, you can ask questions, you can get Google or ChatGPT to give you the answers. But a lot of things, the human interactions, the ability to ask questions, civic sense, that all comes from a formal education. The way that formal education and the objective of that education is going to change drastically, but I think there's still, until we can plug our children into a neural network and download all the, you know, coding into their heads, we need to send them to a school, whatever version of that school, and we need to have them interact with their peers, we need to have them ask questions, and they need to be asked questions so that they're able to think and they're able to ride the technology tiger rather than being trampled by it.
Now you bring a very important element, which is the social learning is a very, very critical component of learning, which the AI native generation is going to miss out on if there is over dependence on that. So it will always require that. But I'm hoping that that digital divide that has existed will not be the case, because the social learning can still be done in a village, in a rural context as well. You don't need to necessarily go to the top brass schools to get the empathy, get the social aspects of learning. Since you picked up the...
I actually wanted to use the word empathy, which you spare. So, yeah, idea is that there is less of divide between, somebody who had the access to the elite tools versus somebody who never had any access. That is gone. And what happens is after that is this human element comes in. So when we say rural and when we, in our mind we think that, less educated, or honestly, let's put it this way, really speaking, or a vernacular language or something like that, less educated. However, the best of ideas are actually lying over there. They actually understand the environment like anything. None of us even can come close to that kind of wisdom and environmental wisdom, right? They understand that, this land is not to be cultivated because it's healing. Nobody else thinks like that, right? So that wisdom with empathy, understanding of rural what do you call, environment and everything, is something is going to really be the one which will shine out, I think.
Can I?
Good to see that our panel is enthusiastic to chip in.
Just one thing on what he said very clearly regarding my mind just went to what we are building for and for whom we are building for. Like we build great codes or build a great platform or interface, but when we do a UAT or the user acceptance testing of the product we have built, are we doing it for the last mile citizen? Do we do it with the last mile citizen? So we have one innovation in our organization, what we do, what we call is a citizen experience learning lab, where we don't do like whatever product that the government has built, which they say is a great technology or a great new portal that they have built, where quickly everything will be done. We go to the citizen, we sit with him and ask him, okay, now the different languages being used, your local language is used. Are you able to access it or not? And when we talk to a citizen, we understand there are a few nuances that exist only with that citizen. Like even us sitting here cannot realize that. Giving an example, a word like Panjikaran is difficult for a person in a rural area to understand, but the word registration, he still understands. A word like labor card, he understands. But a Shramik card, he's like, I don't know what that is. So those kind of insights you won't get if you're not sitting with a citizen and you don't learn with him and feed the system those kind of information and then build the system for the last mile citizen. So that will remain of utmost importance.
I just thought of a very interesting story, and I want to end on a ray of hope. There is this school in Texas. US में ना, the schools are rated from A to F. A मतलब best, F मतलब fail. And it is dependent on the student's performance. तो ये school ना हर बार F, every time it gets F. So 2024, the principal, she introduced AI to teach every student. But what she did different was, she made the AI such that it was teaching each student uniquely. 2025, guess what happened? That school became the top 1% in the US. 15 minute din ka. 15 minutes of AI education. She also did one other thing. She removed 2 hours of classroom and said, ye 2 ghanta bacche khelenge. They will play sports. And so she basically removed 2 hours of education and introduced 15 minutes of AI education. What had fundamentally shifted was, the kids were not afraid of the teacher anymore, or they were not antagonistic to the teacher anymore. And the teacher did not have a preconceived notion कि इसको तो कुछ नहीं आता है. That kid was talking to the AI and the AI created a skills gap, understood इसको ये चीजें सिखाना है, explained it in a very narrative way to the kid, and that's all that was needed. And human imagination was unlocked. Kids did brilliantly since then. I told about the hole in the wall story, now I'll tell that story to end. In 2003, Professor Sugata Mitra from University of Northwest went to Kolkata, a slum. In the brick wall of the slum, he dug a hole, put a computer, put it in such a way that you can't steal the computer, but you can use it. And he left it for 6 months. When he came back after 6 months, the children of that slum who are not educated had figured out how to run the computer and were using the computer and teaching each other. So he said, "ठीक है, देखते हैं. Let's see how much more this can happen." He left it and went away for 6 months. This time when he came back, he was blown. They had figured out how to use the internet. 2003, dial-up internet. The kids had learned how to use the internet, connected with a school in China, where they were not talking the same language, and started connecting with each other and learning maths and science between each other. Human potential. We can unlock it. We can just give people the power back.
Thank you so much, everyone. This has been very exciting conversation. I didn't think that the panel will last this long, but we've managed to have some interesting conversations here. I think the future is bright. If technology over the last 2 or 3 decades ended up creating a little bit of a digital divide of the haves and have-nots, I am hopeful that AI is actually going to be bridging that gap. We discussed how AI is not here to necessarily take jobs away, but make people more productive. AI is not just about masses being consumers, but masses being creators, and not just content creators, but technology creators. And the hope is that the masses will step up, masses will take the initiative. We also discussed how masses very often have the pulse of the situation much better than the classes who may be very often sitting in their ivory towers. And the hope, therefore, is that our masses will step up and become true global AI creators, which can actually build solutions for the world at large. Hoping that all of us can do whatever it takes for our bottom of the pyramid, lower middle income guys to become more AI literate. And therefore, I'll urge everyone sitting in this room, we've got a lean gathering here, but that's okay. Do your best to teach people around you, whether it is your drivers, whether it is your maids, whether it is your, whoever you, low, middle income touch points that you have, teach them AI. Because the ripple effect that it can generate in their lives can actually be disproportionate. So that is something that all of us should take back from this conversation today and do our best to become a country which is going to be creating a lot of AI natives in the coming decade or two, but the teaching will have to start today. Thank you so much again, everyone. I see a couple of people joining us as we finish the panel, but such is life. Thanks, everyone.